Tiger fans, Greenville is a wonderful place to call home, and take it from me, a great place to grow your family. The housing market can be an extremely competitive and intimidating place if you don't have the right agent. That's why we recommend our friend and local agent Lana Smith with Live Upstate SC Real Estate. She is a native of Greenville and has been serving the needs of families in the upstate for over 20 years. You need an agent proficient in navigating the world of multiple offers who will put your needs first and guide you through the process. Let Lana help you achieve your real estate goals. Call her today at 864-608-8313. Again, that's 864-608-8313. And let's get moving. If you're looking for a great atmosphere and good food, you have to check out the Charleston Sports Pub. They're the premier sports bar location in South Carolina with locations in Clemson, Greenville, Goose Creek, James Island, Mount Pleasant, Summerville, and West Ashley. Watch all the games while you have fun playing all their games. Tiger fans, we dine there, legends dine there like Taj Boyd, and so should you. Go eat at the Charleston Sports Pub in Clemson every game day. 359 College Avenue, Clemson. Family owned and operated, serving Anderson County and surrounding areas since 1980. Heating and Cooling Services, Inc. is your residential and commercial comfort expert. Anything from preventative maintenance of your home HVAC system to overhauling a commercial chiller and everything in between. If you want to breathe easier and be nice and cool in your home or business this summer or warm this winter, give Heating and Cooling Services, Inc. a call today. Give Mark or Jason Trammell a call at 864-224-7655. Again, 864-224-7655, and they'll take good care of you. Tiger fans, we don't just dress for success, we TS for success. That's Tiger Sports Shop. We shop there so much that they practically begged us to be sponsors for them. Not serious, but we do love shopping at Tiger Sports Shop in one of their two locations, 364 College Avenue and 1102 Tiger Boulevard in Clemson. If you're not in Clemson to check out the experience, stop by online at www.tigersports.com. Again, tigersports.com for all your game day needs.
We interrupt your regularly scheduled program for this special report.
Are you ready?
I still have no audio. I've been doing this whole thing, no sound. All right, so we're back to sound. I can see it on the screen. You can see it on the screen. You can hear Alan in there laughing at me. This is how it goes. We're right back to square one again, I guess. All right, so I'm back. This is Morgan Thomas. Welcome to the Morgan Thomas Show. Joining me soon will be Big Al in Houston. We have a lot to talk about. Clemson football, signing day, post-signing day, because it happened just, yesterday. And then we've got Clemson basketball stuff. We've got Clemson baseball, softball stuff. So a lot of things coming up, and we're getting ready for the new season, the spring season of those games, those teams coming out. So I'm looking forward to that. Just signed up my daughter for 8 and under softball. So I'm excited about softball. I'm excited about Clemson softball, but not only that, but her softball as well too. But let's go ahead and bring on our other extraordinary gentleman of the show, and that is Big Al, Alan Adams, and Mr. Houston Burnett, and also the chat, if you see over there. The chat is back. Welcome in, everyone. And Big Al, Houston, welcome.
Glad to be here, man. Hey, it wouldn't be a Morgan Thomas show without a Morgan Thomas blunder or two. So it's all good, man. We got it straightened out, ready to rock and roll. A lot of good stuff to talk about.
That's how it goes. Houston, we had to not have audio because that's, Houston wasn't here when we first started the show, but back in the day, this was like a regular occurrence of no audio.
Yeah.
I mean, it's semi-regular now, so I guess, you take wins when you can get them. So that's what I'm just glad tonight that, hey, we're going to talk recruiting. Signing day was yesterday, understandable, but I think it's good to finally give basketball and baseball their due going into the off season. I know we want to focus on recruiting, and we'll do plenty of that, but baseball's a big deal. Basketball's trying to salvage what they got, so I'm excited to talk.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to your thoughts on basketball. I originally, so there was National Signing Day was yesterday. I paid for a ticket to go sit with Dean Cox, the hat, at the recruiting wrap-up dinner. But then things happened at work. The Super Bowl, as you know, is coming up, and I've got a lot of marketing things going on with the Super Bowl and a lot of crunch time stuff because it's only like 8 days away. And a little bit more than 8 days away, but 10 days away. But we really have to have things done earlier than the day of the game. You know what I mean? So there's a lot going on. I got really busy. It didn't seem like I was going to get and the thing started at 5 because there was a basketball game, as you mentioned, at 7 against Florida State. So, but a friend of ours, Mike Vaughn, who's the PA for the Greenville Triumph, he got to go and have a good time, and also went to the basketball game too and cheered the Tigers on to a win. Again, to be honest with you guys, let's start out with basketball for a second. It is not a guarantee to beat Florida State. I mean, Florida State typically has Clemson's number when it comes to basketball. Would you agree?
Houston, go.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a crapshoot at home. I've seen Clemson come out and blow Florida State out in the past, but Florida State's also, hit those clutch shots. I would say if this game was in Tallahassee, I'd have been a lot more nervous. And Clemson has to go back on the road to play them later in the year, and I always dread playing down there in basketball. It's kind of weird to say, 10 years later, 10 years after 2012 when they were ACC champs in football, now I'm saying, oh my goodness, I don't want to play them in basketball.
Yeah, you don't really say that in football
anymore. Pretty well against Florida State, don't you think? I mean, I feel like, they may have the upper hand. I mean, they're super tall, they're super long, athletic. They always have been. It's just kind of their style. But I feel like we've handled them okay in the past. Whether it be at home or away, honestly. But it seems like they probably 60-40 maybe have the upper hand. But I think they've been pretty good so far. And heck, they squeaked out a win last night, so it was pretty good, pretty nice. They hung on for dear life, as they seem to try to do a lot this year. But it works for me as long as they get the W.
Yeah, I mean, I guess to go off of what Alan's saying, I feel like in recent years, Brad Brownell knows how to win against Florida State at home. I've seen, even 4 or 5 years ago, we went down to Tallahassee and lost by 48. And even in the Purnell years, a week later, nobody talks about a week after what happened a week after Clemson beat Duke 74-47. A week later, Clemson blows an 18-point lead at home to the Florida State Seminoles. They figured out the press, and they won. So Florida State and Clemson have had some battles, but Florida State's definitely someone that I'm just glad to get this one over with. Glad Clemson got the dub.
Houston, back to you here. You've had kind of a love-hate thing going on this year. So how's your feeling now? I mean, I know, you're kind of, they kind of had some tough losses there.
Yeah,
and now they have a loss in a player because Hunter Tyson, as Al mentioned before we started the show, is out indefinitely due to breaking his clavicle, wherever that is.
On your collarbone? Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
I mean, they're down a player. Now Nas Bohannon's going to have to step up a lot more.
yeah. Well, the good thing about Nas Bohannon, he had a wonderful game last night. Nas played great, and that's something that I think everybody's been wanting to see. He's been very inconsistent. So to see Nas step in last night and play really well was, something that was a big boost. Now it's just a matter of him staying that way. And I think as good as Hunter Tyson has been, he's had a similar issue in himself. Is you'll have games where Hunter Tyson is a threat. He's someone that can score 12, 15, maybe even 20 points. But there's games where he's just not there. There's you hardly ever see Hunter Tyson show up in the stat line. So getting production out of that position is a key to making this season more successful than it's been thus far. And that sells this team short. It's had some good wins this year, but right now Clemson's still kind of sitting as a mid-seed in the NIT. They're not really in that next four out of the NCAA tournament. And there's a lot of work to be done to ensure that there is postseason play. They can lose as easy as they win. And I'll be honest, playing at Georgia Tech this weekend, as bad as Georgia Tech is, Atlanta is just a place where Clemson does not play good in any sport known to man. They just don't play well in Atlanta. And so I'm worried. They should win the game, but they should have beat Boston College, and we saw what happened there. And Georgia Tech has the added player. DeVoe is his last name. He can shoot the eyes out of the ball. He's very good. So there's something to just kind of raise the alarm. I don't want to sound ghoulish, but at the same time, you don't know. You don't know what team you're going to get. They've been playing well even at Duke, but we'll see what happens this weekend.
Yeah, I'm interested to see. I mean, like I said, you're talking about a double-digit average scorer. I'm looking here. Tyson, 10.4 points per game, 5.6 rebounds, and been getting a lot of minutes recently. So Bohannon's going to have to get in there and step in, and see. We'll see what the Tigers can do. So you're still thinking, Al? Do you agree? NIT is kind of where we're looking right now.
Right now, absolutely. Yeah, we'd have to go on a pretty good run, and it's going to be obviously just got harder with Hunter Tyson out. So it's not that it can't be done. I mean, this team can play some good ball. We saw it, even when Hunter went out, they played some pretty good ball last night. Bohannon filled in pretty well. It's kind of something we've been kind of wanting to see from him all year. So it was real refreshing to see that, and hopefully he can only continue to improve going forward. I think Hemingway's got to get a little more involved. He's going to have to step up. I really felt like he was, our best shooter last year. Our best pure shooter, has the best stroke, and it's really been kind of non-existent this year from what I've seen. I haven't got to see as much as I usually do, but at times he just hasn't been there really offensively, hasn't made his shots, hasn't got his points. I mean, you just need that threat of somebody else, that can score, so we need him to step up for sure.
Bill Lanham's not in there yet, but I hope he is proud of us starting the show with men's basketball, something we don't normally do. And because most of our views, most of our followers are big Clemson football fans, Clemson recruiting fans. So, we want to talk about that. We will talk about that as we continue the show. But before we do, let's get in and look at the chat. Let's give a hello to everyone that's already in there. I'm going to kind of scroll back up. So if you're watching the chat over on the right-hand side, you'll see it scroll because that's what I'm doing. I'm doing that. That's me. That's my mouse. But Kevron gets in. He's the first to get in. Big golf clap for Kevron being the first to get in there. Welcome to the show. Says, hey, Morgan Thomas. Hi, Big Al. Alan Adams. Hi, Houston Burnett. Thank you so much, Kevron. What is the flagship signed of Clemson's signing day? I'm guessing he's talking about what is maybe the signee, flagship signee. Yeah, he says that later on. He clarifies his question. Talking about a specific player. We'll get into that. So let's parking lot that one. What is the biggest signee of the day or of the class for 2022? We'll talk about that. Then also Stephen Branham over on Facebook gets in and says, think the Tigers will get another running back. I don't know if you saw my Twitter post, but that's really the one spot that wasn't filled for the 2022 class. It was for Andrew Paul, and then it didn't get filled. So there is kind of a 84 signed, and now there's one still out there, which originally for was for a running back. So will there be another running back out there, or maybe will it move on to someone else? We will discuss that as well. So we'll parking lot that one too. Mitch Mack says, long time no see. Dogs on top. Dogs on top, yes, for this year. But
delete that comment.
Some moderator, get in there. Somebody get that out of there. All right, so let's see who else we got. Steve says, think Tigers will get another running back. We're going to talk about that again. Al Kuhn says, hey guys, let's go. Jenny Lynn says, Braden's watching. Uncle Big Al. So Uncle Big Al, say hello to your nephew there.
Braden, my man, I thought that was you I saw getting in. This chat's really small on my screen, but it's good to have you in, buddy.
Yeah, you guys can't see it as well as I can, I guess. But Tiger1234 says, when does the show actually start? Well, let me tell you. It is worth the wait. I'll tell you that much. But I made this intro video. Maybe you hate it. I don't know. But I made this intro video so I don't have to mess up all of the ads that we have, and also get the stream loaded, because it takes some time. If you've ever done YouTube or Facebook, it takes some time to get loaded onto the screen and then for people to actually see it. So, and then we have our DX intro. So when you see the DX intro, you still got about 10 minutes to go. No, I'm just kidding. You got about 2.5 minutes of the DX intro, and then you're ready to go. I should probably maybe do a timer. Maybe I could add that in there. Al, you'll have to help me with the mathematics on doing that timer.
Oh, yeah.
Jenny Lynn again says hello. Anthony Weeks says, what's going on, guys? And then I had my typical sound problems, as you saw there. Let's see. Got it. Uncle Al. Eric Chapman. Tough first cycle for C.J. Spiller. Now, Houston and I talked about this, and we'll parking lot that one too. Houston and I talked about this week. I still don't understand. This is what Eric Chapman says on Facebook. I still don't understand if Clemson was going to take 2 running backs, why they waited to offer Paul and Etienne after Etienne made a decision. So we'll get into that. Let's hang on there. That's a good question too. Rick Robertson gets in, says, greetings from Walterboro, South Carolina. Jenny Land again says, go Tigers. Mitch Mack says hello. Let's see. Anybody else? John Sarian says, Tyson out for the remainder of the basketball season. It says out indefinitely. It doesn't say when. Kevron asks, where's Tyson transferring to? I haven't heard. Rick Robertson gets in with a basketball question, says, Chase Hunter has stepped his game up and is going to need him down the stretch. You guys agree with that?
100%.
Absolutely.
John Valiant gets in, says he's from Varsity King. Go check out them. And Jordan Bowman says, Caden Story, if we're just talking about signing day, we needed a D-line commit. So he went ahead and gave us his thought about the marquee signee, I guess you could say. Mitch Mack says he continues to talk about Georgia Bulldogs. I guess we should just delete him from there. Mark Palmer gets in again, says Florence, South Carolina. And all right, so we kind of caught up with the chat there. Can't get to everybody. You can keep getting in, keep asking questions and discussions there. Let's go back and let's start with the signing day, the signees from Clemson that finished for the Tigers for the 2022 recruiting class. They signed a letter of intent, 20 players. Now, Houston, you and I have fought the good fight for the past 3 months about this. Back when Clemson had 12, and then they lost a few of those, and everybody was panicking on Twitter. And it was like, Clemson's not going to sign. They're going to have 15 walk-ons at this rate. Dabo Swinney has lost his mind. He's slipping. The dynasty's over. Throw away all your uniform and your shirts and your hats and your socks and everything. Would you have believed that just a few months later, they finished with signing 20 total signees, and a lot of really good at the very end, the very final week, too? Houston, what do you got to say about that?
Well, I expected something like this. I keep saying the market balances itself out. I know people are going to say, whoa, Clemson didn't sign a top 5 class this year. Well, look at the average since 2014. Clemson's averaged out around 12. So Clemson's right on schedule with what they've been doing. And I think, honestly, they're getting back to their roots and how they develop players. They find good players and great players, and then players that can grow into the role. I think a lot of people are going to remember this for not signing Andrew Paul, and I think that's really short-sighted. As far as this class, there's a lot of talent, and there's a lot of talent that's being slept on. I can't remember who retweeted this. I want to give a shout to Casey the Beef Cregan. with the Sluggo podcast. He's the first one that retweeted out the Post and Courier article yesterday that maybe gives a little insight into the strategy of what Clemson's going to be doing in the age of the transfer portal. They're going to take some guys. They took Hunter Johnson. They've been kicking the tires with a couple of graduate transfers, but they're leaving room for players that are getting slept on, like Miles Oliver. Miles Oliver was getting scoffed at on certain message boards, if you will. I'll just leave it to which one that you frequent, whatever. But Miles Oliver was being made fun of, and then you watch his film and you say, you know what, he's a pretty solid guy. And as I've said the whole time, if he turns into a Marcus Edmonds, that is a hit, 100%. And there's a chance that could happen. I trust the development of Mike Reed, and I trust what Mickey Conn can do with players like Miles Oliver. And so finishing 11th from where Clemson was in December, yes, it's impressive, but at the same time, would you expect anything less from someone like Dabo Swinney?
Yeah, look, I mean, it was a good finish of the class. Yeah, everybody's going to remember the Paul thing, and that it's frustrating. I think what frustrates most fans is the fact that it's pretty typical of Clemson to carry a small board. And, they went in for Branson Robinson early in the cycle, who was obviously the cream of the crop, and he went early, to Georgia, I believe it was, way back. And that was kind of a foregone conclusion. And so then we put all of our eggs in the Trevor Etienne basket and didn't pan out. So we tried to jump on Paul at the end, who's vastly underrated. I've been very, very clear in my rating of him. I think Rivals in particular has him way underrated. I don't know what 24/7 has him rated. But, it's frustrating because – and it's a fair criticism of Dabo, in my opinion, in this particular case, because I thought Paul was a superior prospect all along to Trevor Etienne. It's not that Trevor Etienne's a bad player. I just think Paul is that much better. But at the end of the day, like y'all said, I don't think it's really going to matter. I mean, missing on a running back, maybe somebody said it in the chat. I don't think it's really going to matter if you miss on a running back this class, because nobody's going to come in and play right away anyways. We've got 3 studs at running back. It's kind of irrelevant. As long as you land a good guy in this next class, it's not really going to matter overall. So, yeah, it was a good finish for the class for the most part. Landing Dudley was a big one. Landing Caden Story, of course, was huge, with the fact that we, again, went all in on Travis Shaw and whiffed completely. But, hey, there's the thing. If you're going to go all in for somebody and try to make that your recruiting pitch, that, hey, you're the guy we're after, you're the number one on our board, you're the only guy we've offered, it's got to be for the Travis Shaw types. Not for the Trevor Etienne types, in my opinion. I think it's got to be the 5-star stud of studs if you're gonna use that strategy. And sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. But overall, good finish to the class.
Thinking about what you guys are talking about, specifically about the offers and when they offered and holding on to a specific player, I did not expect Trevor Etienne to hold out, considering the attachment and the association with the family. I mentioned this on the show during the season multiple times. I thought, now, I'm not saying that Danita Etienne and Trevor Etienne did Dabo dirty, but I will say that if Trevor knew what his heart was saying, which it's hard to say from an 18-year-old, sure, but if he really wanted to forge his own path with Florida, he should have told Dabo earlier. If he would have told Dabo earlier, Dabo would have offered Paul earlier. Mm-hmm. I also think if you look at the roster, as people are saying in the chat, as Timothy gets in on YouTube, let's be real. It's going to be hard to recruit running backs when you have Pace, Shipley, and Maffa on the roster. A 3-headed monster. I completely agree. And to Alan's point, with it, when it comes to, it's so easy to just look at it abstractly and say, well, they failed at defensive line recruiting for the most part because they missed their ones they were going after. They failed at running back recruiting because they missed at what they were going after. But they knew, and we knew, that those positions were shored up. I mean, it's really not ever been in question that Brian Brissy was returning. I mean, he couldn't not return. Really not been in any kind of, nobody's been under the impression that Tyler Davis was leaving. He's always kind of been all in, and he was in the weight room like right after, and he was already getting back into it. So there was no question with the defensive tackle position. There was no, really, I think when it comes to Dabo, you think he was in the dark with XT and KJ? I don't think he was in the dark with those guys either. And the same thing goes for the running back. So when you look at those three positions, you could say, oh, well, they failed when you look at who they didn't get, right? But you could also say they were in a position to be okay if they did fail. To Alan's point, they could go all in with somebody they really liked. Dabo could go all in with a guy that he felt like that deserved it, which was Trevor Etienne. Maybe he wasn't the highest on the list. Maybe that's a knock there for sure, to Alan's point. But he went all in knowing that if you lose, I mean, you still got three awesome ones. Same thing with the defensive tackle. You go all in with Travis Shaw with the idea of if you lose, it's not like he was going to see much light at the in the 2022 season. So if there's any reason to miss, which there shouldn't be, but if there is one, if there is a reason to miss, which you don't ever want to miss, but if there is, it should be in those positions where you're pretty much stacked, and you have proven winners there. Houston, do you feel the same way? Because I know we talked about this earlier about people just beating up. It seemed like those same people on Twitter that we like to argue with come right back and say, well, CJ Spiller is a recruiting failure. And yeah. I don't think when you really look at it, at first glance, it's easy to throw that jab, But if you really look at it, no, it's not. That's not the case.
Yeah. So here's a couple things. One, let's take the recruiting piece out of this. What unit on the offense was the most consistently strong the entire season? We'd all say running back.
Yes.
Easy. That's easy. And I mean, maybe that's the offensive system that Clemson's in, but a lot of that's due to coaching. The other thing that people need to factor in is there's a lot of nuance to these classes. We went in with Trevor Etienne, and that's fine. I understand the criticism of that. But at the same time, this whole, we should have just offered I feel like the goalpost for offering Andrew Paul gets moved earlier. If we had just offered then we'd have just kept him. You don't know that. And I think
you don't.
The one thing that, or the two things that people don't realize is, one, Clemson does have a loaded running back room, and two, you're going against the defending national champions, whether you like to hear it or not. Georgia has a history of putting running backs in the league, first round, top talent, and they just won the national championship. Mm-hmm. So would it really have mattered if Clemson had gotten Andrew Paul in October and then Georgia had swooped in December and tried to flip him? I mean, imagine that. Pick your poison there. I'm not saying that would have happened, and I understand the criticism. I'm not dismissing all of that, but to put the blame on CJ on this is completely disingenuous. And then two, the other thing you need to realize, CJ has got inroads with some very, very good running backs in the 2023 class, and I think for someone like CJ, getting us in the door with Richard Young. Otherwise, I don't know if we would be in the door with Tony Elliott. Because CJ's connections in the state of Florida, we're firmly in that race. Now, we may not win that race, right? Alabama's in the mix, Ohio State's in the mix. But he's setting Clemson up to go maybe for another running back. Like, I think the 2023 version of Andrew Paul sits in Florida, and his name is Manny Covey. CJ Spiller already has that relationship. Now, that offer might not come until the summer, but I think CJ set Clemson up perfectly. And to me, this is all about, this will be Allen's kind of deal, is when you have certain position units like Clemson has at running back, it's about at-bats, right? Mm-hmm. So you go and you swing for the fence for Branson Robinson. Maybe you swing for a double with Trevor Etienne, and then you try to hit the single. Well, in this case, it's Keith Adams Jr., you get a bunt and you get on base. That's the main thing. And that sounds bad, but you got it filled. You got a legacy guy that can grow. And at minimum, that guy can come in and be a run for you. All right? That guy can be someone that's on base and maybe comes in the clutch for you. So in the early portion of this, it may not look good, but I think CJ's done his job, and he's going to get Clemson in position in the future for even better recruits.
And they finished with a 24/7 11th top 15 ranking. Top 15 ranking, I think, almost every single year that Dabo has been there, at least in the past 5 straight years, I know for sure. I think it's longer than that. Dabo said that in his press conference. I just can't remember exactly. But it's also a class that has 2 5-star recruits in it, which, Al, Houston, you guys remember we were growing up, 5-star recruits weren't just like guarantees at all, especially getting 2, especially on both sides of the ball. You've got Cade Klubnik coming in, which I'm very high on. And then you have Jaden Lucas, which I haven't had to talk much about because, he's kind of under the radar for a 5-star guy. But Dabo has said that Jaden Lucas might be one of the ones that needs to come in and be ready early because of, he's already at the right size to be able to contribute right now. He just needs to get in there and clean it up and get ready and be able to be used early on. Now, Houston's been high on the wide receivers, and even Toriano Pride is one that Allen likes. So when I look at the top 5, you got Klubnik, 5-star, Lucas, 5-star, Antonio Williams, Toriano Pride, and Adam Randall, okay? So big-time skill positions, wide receivers, big-time general of the offense, quarterback, and then a cornerback, which is one of the biggest wins above replacement positions out there. So you're looking at those 5. Those are some key playmaking positions. Of those 5, is any one of those 5, in your opinion, Alan, the marquee guy, the poster child that's going to be the shining star of this class? Or maybe it's someone that's not in the top 5.
Oh, if you're looking for the marquee signee of this class, this is an easy one. This is a layup. It's Cade Klubnik without a doubt. And that's simply because the quarterback position just matters so much more than any other position on the field. We've had some classes in the past that were ranked relatively high, but like Houston said, it seems like we're always around the top 10, somewhere where there's 12th or, whether it's 8, no big deal. But when you have a Deshaun Watson, you have a Trevor Lawrence or somebody like that come in, that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're number 2 because you have the best quarterback. And that's why Clemson's been able to compete. That's why they've been able to win championships. Cade Klubnik is that guy for sure. He's the marquee name. Whether he goes in there and lights the world on fire and takes over the starting job this year is yet to be determined. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, without a doubt, it's the QB position is Cade Klubnik.
Houston, Eric Chapman gets in, says he's reading a lot about Antonio Williams being the real deal. Now, you've talked him up big time, and we did a video on him, Eric. So if you go over to our YouTube channel and you search Antonio Williams, Clemson, you should be able to find the Morgan Thomas Show, our video on him and his highlights. Houston, would you say Antonio Williams is your pick for the sake of not picking Cade Klubnik?
Between him and Jaden Lucas, I'll say those two. If I had an offense and a defense, and I can't pick Cade Klubnik, then I'm going to pick Antonio Williams for the offense. His upside, he could be anywhere from a Jamar Chase type. I don't want to put that on him this early. I want to let him develop first, but he's got that type of talent.
Jamar Chase looking really good in the postseason. Let's just put it that way.
Right, and I don't want to put that title on him just yet, right? And he's got to develop. His game might change as time goes on, but he's the type of guy that you just get him the ball and he's going to do the work. And there's a variety. Victor Cruz, Odell Beckham Jr., you take your pick. He kind of fits the mold of a guy you just get the ball to and let him do work. As far as Jaden Lucas goes, you're right. He is an underrated guy on the defensive side of the ball as a 5-star, and that's mainly because of we always talk about how bad the competition is in the state of South Carolina, but the one league in South Carolina that is top notch is the league that Jaden Lucas happens to come from. When he's having to play Gaffney and Dorman and Spartan High, and he's having to play the likes of Burns year in and year out. It doesn't jump off the screen when his team's 5-5 and half of those games may not be very close, but you look at the film and he's making plays. They're going away from him. He's a difference maker for his team, even if it doesn't show up in the final box score from Auburn.
I like that Clemson seems to continue to pipeline cornerbacks that are amazing. They continue to pipeline defensive linemen. They continue to pipeline quarterbacks that are great. So I feel like that Clemson is winning in those ones where you have to win to be an elite team. And those 3 positions, defensive line, cornerback, quarterback, I would say that I would love to see them improve at offensive line, but they still sprinkle in every now and then, get their 5-star. And I'll say don't sleep on Blake Miller or Colin Sadler. They might not be ready immediately, but any of the film that I see, and I've talked to Bob Sadler, his Colin's son or Colin's dad, And I mean, he is all the time in the weight room. These guys are ready, man. They are wanting to show what they can do and prove it. Now, offensive line's hard to kind of jump on the scene early, but going back to the offensive line, they might not have to jump in early because it could get healthy. It could get healthy, and one of the chatters in there, I don't know exactly the name, but said they were kind of worried that Clemson would turn into a running team. I think they are going to turn into a running team, especially if the passing is difficult as it was last year. I think they're going to improve in the running game. They might be one of the best running teams in the nation. Now, I'm not saying they're going to go all out wing T as we joked about a couple of weeks ago, but I do think that Clemson could be one of the best running teams in the nation because they have a three-headed monster, and their offensive line, if it stays healthy, could be really good. I'm really excited to see what Pennington can do, what Lee can do, what the other guys can do now that they've gotten an extra year underneath their belt there. Don't count out the offensive line just because they had a bad season last year. They were all over the place. They had injuries all over the place, and they were shifted around left to right, right to left, and a lot of inconsistency there from Clemson on the offensive line. And then later on in the season, they got better. So I'm excited to see what goes on there. I think this class is great. I would have to say Cade Klubnik. If you wanted me to give you my opinion, I think Cade Klubnik is the signee guy, the marquee signee of the year of that class, because he's going to come in and immediately provide that fire, that competition that DJ, I think, so desperately needs. And he's doggone good. He's a gamer. And I think if DJ can learn from him, even though he's younger than him. Now, another thing that's good about DJ, and I think Alan let me know about this, Brandon Streeter has been listening to the show, specifically my comments, and he's been getting DJ on a diet, and DJ's now already down 10 pounds since in 1 month. So we're talking about DJ is losing weight, and I mentioned this. He cannot be heavier than the linebackers chasing him. He needs to be 235 or less. I'm doing the hashtag 222 for 22. That's what I'm going to do. 222 for 22. Now, can he actually make 222? I don't know if he can or not. But man, let me tell you something. The biggest gripe from the Clemson fan base was how he looked like he had concrete in his shoes. If he's 25 pounds lighter by the time fall comes around, fellas, might be that big change of confidence that he needs, because if he can go back and bite off some big run plays and get that defense from stop doing three deep as we saw at the beginning of the year, we know that he's got a good, strong arm that can throw deep. I say it could work out great for him. You guys agree about the weight loss?
I mean, I'll say that, it doesn't necessarily have to be 25. If he just loses 20 pounds, I mean, look, that would make him 6'5", 230. That's roughly the size of Cam Newton. Okay. So I would say 230 is fine. Like 225 is okay, but I mean, I feel like competitively, if he's 6'5", 230, you can roll with that and feel confident. The main thing is if he's agile and his arm, his ability to read and throw improves, then yeah, he can get back to his 2020 status, or what we saw in 2020.
Right. I think that's pretty important. I'm good with 230. I'm good with 235. I think he's okay anywhere in that range. I mean, he was always going to be a bigger guy, plain and simple, and that's okay. Right. Getting down to 222 would almost scare me a little bit for him. But still, I think you're going to see market improvement from him. I mean, I don't see any way you can't, with the fact that you're probably going to have, hopefully, knock on wood, knock on every piece of wood that's around you, you hopefully have a healthy offensive line this year. I think that's going to make a big difference. You talked about having a strong running game. I think that's going to be true, but I think the receiving game is going to be a lot improved this year. I mean, the fact that you just got to stay healthy. If you get Ngata healthy, which is not, it really hasn't happened, but he's shown that he can be a beast if he is healthy. DJ was able to develop some chemistry with Bo Collins and Dakari Collins at the end of the year. They started really improving, especially in the run blocking, area, or the pass blocking area. They were able to get their hands on guys that were really physical, especially Dakari. I love what I saw from Dakari Collins. And you can obviously see the chemistry between Bo Collins and DJ Uiagalelei, because he's always looking for Bo Collins. He threw at him all the time. And Bo was a freshman last year. He had several drops that, I think he's got to make those catches. He's going to have to make the tough catch. He did against Iowa State, I believe, when DJ kind of threw that prayer up And he came down with it, and that's what we've been looking for. We've been waiting for that all year. The fact that they've had, I mean, their top like 4 guys were gone from the receiving room. It's just I thought a lot of unnecessary blame was put on DJ this year. I think the chemistry is going to be a little bit better. I think he's going to get better. He's going to get lighter. He's going to get more accurate. And I don't know that he's going to all of a sudden be part of the Heisman campaign or anything like that. But he's just got to be decent, and Clemson's going to be right back in the thick of things.
So somebody mentioned the thing that we've talked about is like, what's the schedule looking like? What is our prediction? Just kind of running through the schedule. And by the way, there's a lot of people talking about a potential 2023 quarterback that looks like he's, not on the Clemson train anymore in the chat here. They're talking about Archie Manning is maybe not looking at Clemson. Now, I haven't read any reports on that. I did read something from J.P. Priester on allclemson.com. It said he has some sources. I can't confirm or deny, but it looks like our chat's really big on that. So, but Clemson has a guy that came in the junior day, the Vizinha guy. I think the guy from Alabama. So Clemson has the pieces moving, and he seems like he's pretty all in. Like I almost get the sense of stuff that I see on Twitter about him that he might be close. I don't know. I'm just saying from what the rumors are going on around there to being a Clemson Tiger. But if you look at the schedule, guys, we got the spring game coming up April 9th. And then you guys, we should go to that. We should all go to that one. And we should, everybody should come hang out with us at the spring game. I always love going to those. I take my daughter to those. And then the first game is a Monday night football. And that is going to be against Georgia Tech, starting out in Atlanta at the Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Going to be an away game, actually for both, but really a home game for Georgia Tech there. Clemson is going to have a short turnaround because the very next Saturday, just 5 days away, they're going to play Furman. So thankfully, it's a short turnaround, but it is Furman. And then they have Louisiana Tech on the next Saturday, September the 17th. And then Wake Forest, so they've already played, within the first 4 games, already played 2 ACC matchups, Georgia Tech and then Wake Forest. Wake Forest being that team that won the division, but ended up really not really posing much of a threat to Clemson. And I really feel like it was because of the lines of scrimmage. I felt like Clemson just destroyed them on the line of scrimmage when they played in Death Valley this last season. And that kind of questions me. That kind of makes me question, how good can they really be at Wake Forest? They could win a lot of games by their offensive prowess, but when they hit a brick wall like Clemson's defensive line, it kind of shuts them down pretty quick. So I don't know. But then there's going to be the rematch. I think that's one that everybody is circling right now. At least I'm circling, is the Dave Doran rematch. NC State now comes to Clemson the 1st of October. So that is 5 games into it. So you're telling me that Georgia Tech, Furman, Louisiana Tech, Wake Forest, we already know that DJ can and will and could and has a great chance to beat those teams. So I feel like now looking back, a lot of people are saying, "Oh, we're only going to give him 4 games. We're only going to give him 4 games." Well, I don't think that's necessarily true, because if you look at the schedule, DJ can handle those 4 games. So the first 4 games out of the gate, I don't really see a problem with. Now the NC State game, obviously, I feel like he can handle NC State. I mean, that was an overtime loss, right? So I don't, and it was a miscommunication in a lot of sense with Justin Ross there. So I feel like that NC State being at home is a great thing for Clemson. And then you have 2 away games, which are the only back-to-back away games. Man, this schedule's pretty nice, to be honest with you. You have the 2 back-to-back away games. Clemson goes to Boston College for the first time in 3 years. Then Clemson goes to Florida State, finally, after the COVID hullabaloo. And then they host Syracuse on the 22nd. I don't see the bye week there. I haven't. Is there a bye week yet?
End of October.
End of October. Okay, so there's no game on Halloween, which is my do or die point. So the next game after the game after Syracuse, then there's a bye week at Halloween for decisions to be made, fellas. Decisions to be made if they need to be made. Maybe they don't need to be made. But then Notre Dame, so Clemson goes back to Notre Dame again, plays in South Bend there on November 5th, the first game of November. And then they come back and they get Louisville, which Dabo Swinney has always beaten Louisville. Crazy to think, because they got by the skin of their teeth last year. So Malik Cunningham was on a mission, and he just had a heartbreaker there. And then they finish up with 3 home games, which I feel like are really legit. Normally you have that one military appreciation game that's not as nice, but the military appreciation game is going to be what? Miami? I'm assuming
Louisville.
It's going to be Louisville.
It sounds like it's going to be Louisville.
Okay, so we don't know the designations for sure. It doesn't say on this screen anyways, but Louisville is going to be that game. And then Miami, which is Cristobal, we really don't know much. We won't know much. We'll know more then, but right now we don't know much. And then South Carolina, they have them at home to close out the season. So going through the schedule, fellas, what are your thoughts on, first, the DJ Uiagalelei situation and the schedule, but also then, what are you circling on the schedule? Is it the NC State game, or is it something else that maybe I'm missing? Al, we'll start with you.
Look, for me, the schedule sets up about as perfectly as any schedule could have worked out. I think it works out absolutely beautifully for Clemson, especially with those first 4 games. They're very winnable games, just like you described. It's something, if you're going to see how much DJ's improved, and I don't mean, I know he's not playing, the best competition in those first 4 games, but even he was playing, his throws were a little bit off. People were talking about his accuracy issues, and he did that against every team. So if he's able to throw better and more accurately and be a little more agile against these, lower tier teams, you kind of feel confident about him being able to do it a little bit better going forward, when he faces stiffer competition. So yeah, I think it sets up really well. As a matter of fact, if the offense can moderately improve, okay, or if they can just stay healthy, I think the offense takes a big jump this season. We already know where the defense is. We know what we've got there, in my opinion. I know we're replacing the corners, but I think there's some talent in the pipeline there. I'm not overly concerned with that. I just believe that the only game I'm even really concerned about, there's always one that jumps up and bites you that you're not sure about, but the only game I'm concerned about is Notre Dame. And I mean, Notre Dame's a good team. They're a quality team. You're playing them on the road. I think that's a big deal. And, so I think Clemson fans will start to wonder, if we lose that game to Notre Dame, it's a big game, it's on the road, can we get in by winning the ACC championship? Can you fend off whether it be in Oklahoma or in Ohio State or whoever it is? It's probably going to be one of those other one-loss teams out in the country. But Georgia and Alabama, if they do Georgia and Alabama things, they're going to be right back in it. Nobody's keeping them out of the playoffs. So all you got to do is be ranked higher than Ohio State or Oklahoma in a typical year, right, to be that. So I think Notre Dame is the only game I'm worried about. And if they can somehow squeak a win out in South Bend, I don't see anybody stopping Clemson, really. And again, that's making a lot of assumptions. I get that, but I just think that this would have been a whole different season, and we could have been relatively close to making the playoffs had we even stayed healthy this year. Now, I don't think we would have done anything in the playoffs. I don't think we were good enough offensively. I think that the whole Tiger fan base would agree with that. But we were not that far off. I just think that it was an absolutely snake-bitten year, and I just think it's going to be kind of back on track the way we like things this year. I hope so, anyways.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing that I'll add to what Al said is the most quote-unquote treacherous stretch for Clemson goes from October 9th through November the 5th. 3 out of your 4 are on the road at Boston College, at Florida State, and at Notre Dame. Notre Dame speaks for itself, but we don't know. Notre Dame is a team in transition right now with a new quarterback. Kyron Williams is gone. You got a new head coach. So we don't know what Notre Dame is going to look like. I think they'll still be pretty good, but we'll see when November 5th gets here. Florida State could be one of those teams that they could challenge Clemson. They have the talent to do so, but they could also fall off the map. This is a do-or-die year for Mike Norvell, so they're going to have to be up for that game. Otherwise, that might be a chop and block game for somebody. And then with Boston College, the equalizer is Phil Drakovic if he's back for that game. He is a big-arm NFL talent. I'm a little nervous to play him, but at the same time, if you're able to get pressure on Phil Drakovic, that makes your life a lot easier. And I feel like the matchup between their offensive line and our defensive line tends to favor Clemson.
Yeah, I mean, I like this schedule. Like I said, I like those. I mean, I love having home games back to back to back like that at the very end, because you get to see your Tigers more and more as the season wanes on. I look forward to seeing what they can do with the Notre Dame game. That's definitely a game that you'd like to see DJ repeat his success, not the ending of the game, but you'd like to see him repeat the over 400-yard passing game and see what he can do. A lot of people getting in the chat talking here. Let me pull it up and see what we got going on. So John gets in and says, don't downplay Miami with TVD, their quarterback. Walt keeps talking him up about it. He's a real deal. And I mean, he looks good late in the season for sure. Jordan Bowman says having Tate play so early is going to pay off this year. Marcus Tate for sure had a lot of growing pains, as we know. It kind of picked on him a ton and made a lot of mistakes. But I think, as Jordan mentioned, it's just all that experience is going to help him out to hopefully be better, feet in the fire, as they say, I guess. Dennis gets in and says, we will see if Clemson is able to score 40 plus points pretty quick. I'm guessing, you're going to see the Georgia Tech game starting out. We'll see what they can do. Do they need to score 40 plus points to win every single game with this kind of defense the way it is? I don't necessarily think so. I don't want to see another year where they struggle to get to 20. Would you guys agree that?
I think being able to get to 40 points isn't necessarily, it's not a necessity, but it would be something that would quell a lot of people's fears.
No doubt.
John says, "Why are we playing Notre Dame twice on the road in a row?" I guess I don't know if are they coming to Clemson? I think they are, right?
Next year, right? Not this season, but the next season they're coming to Clemson.
Okay, gotcha. And to your point with Drakovic as well, I think that is a key circle game too. I'm really, to me, it's that NC State game, the Boston College game. That October, beginning of October, is Separation Saturday, to kind of see what you can do, if you can contend, if DJ has figured it out and can win those difficult games and carry it. You want to make a decision. I know I kind of just beat up everybody by saying there wouldn't be a decision. DJ would be fine by then, but you don't want to throw somebody like Cade Klubnik into the mix at Notre Dame away. I wouldn't want to do that. That should not be his first game ever, if that comes to that. But I would say that would still be worst case scenario. So a lot of us sitting here saying, "Oh, when Cade Klubnik going to play?" If Cade Klubnik plays, that's basically worst case scenario from an offensive standpoint, from quarterback standpoint. We really need DJ, we being the fans and the team, need DJ to figure it out, to slim down, to get more confident, to be more mobile, and to have better accuracy, and to get healthy in his knee, healthy in his throwing hand, and just dominate like we've seen him do. That's the thing, is we saw a year where he really didn't dominate, but we did see 2 games where he did really well. So it's one of those unique situations there. All right, so guys, there's a lot we can just keep on going. I have a lot on the list. One thing I did want to mention is somebody that is leaving the team, but in a good way, and it's a fan of the show, Beth Poole's husband, Danny Poole, who has been a long-time trainer for Clemson. If you're a Clemson fan, if you know anything about the Clemson Tigers, have been watching them like us since we were young, you know Danny Poole, because whenever somebody is needing a tape up or needing to be looked at or injured on the field or got a cramp or needs water, whatever it may be, he's there at 4:30 a.m. He leaves at midnight. He's back again the next day. Danny Poole has been with Clemson for almost 40 years, and many times sees the players more than Dabo, sees the players more than CJ, sees the players more than their parents or even their own girlfriends, right? So, Danny Poole has been a huge, he's basically been Clemson. Just like I think of Jim Phillips on the radio, I think of Dale Gilbert in the PA, I think of Don Munson, I think of Danny Poole, because you see him on TV, you see him on the field. He is deservedly getting a retirement now. So we want to give him a clap too. Thank you, Danny. And thank you, Beth, for supporting the show and being, really, Beth Poole has been a supporter of the show since day one. So we really appreciate their family for doing that. And again, a long-time historical career, and he's not going to leave. Houston's told me he's not leaving, so he's still got going to play a part with Clemson, but hopefully not a big part. Hopefully he can enjoy his grandkids and spend a little bit less time in the locker room, which I know will be hard because it's always hard to leave something you love, especially you love it when you've done it that long. So, big time thanks to Danny Poole. And again, everybody's getting in and definitely Danny Poole, a legend. So we want to give him a shout out too, because it's not always about the players and the coaches and the high profile people. Sometimes it's definitely not sometimes, but it's definitely about those people behind the scenes doing everything. Not really behind the scenes for us, because guys, you know who I'm talking about. I mean, when I say Danny Poole, you know exactly who I'm talking about. And if you don't know who I'm talking about, you know who I'm talking about. You just didn't know his name. So, but that's how key it is for sure. Again, Clemson wraps it up with 20 total commits and signed, and one transfer. We don't want to forget Hunter Johnson is coming back. Now that quarterback room is loaded. And so we will see what the Tigers can do. I'm looking forward to spring game. I'm looking forward to now moving. We're going to transition, fellas. We've done all this 2022 stuff. You like our 2022 stuff. We're going to be transitioning now to 2023 recruiting. It never stops, fellas. It never stops. And I know you guys love it out there because they're our most watched videos. So you're showing us you love it by watching it. Another way you can show us you love the show is by hitting the like button. I see right now over on YouTube, we have about 13 likes and about 60 people watching just on YouTube. I can't even look at Facebook because it will make my computer crash. So I'm not going to look at Facebook to see how many people are watching there. But whether you're on Facebook or YouTube, hit the like button. That will really help our algorithm. And if we get to, let's say 60 likes right now, I will do the floss before the show is over with. If we get to 60 likes over on YouTube, I will do the floss before it's over with. I may or may not be wearing pants for the floss, but I will tell you, I do have shorts. I promise. But they're not Clemson shorts, okay? I will say, we get to 60 likes, I will do the floss before the show is over with. I don't think we can do it, though. I don't think we can do it.
The like button is getting lit up on Facebook. I can tell you that.
Well, I didn't say Facebook. I don't care about Facebook. I can't even look at Facebook unless you guys want to tell me that there's 60 likes on Facebook.
Well, I can tell you this. We've only got like 8 people, it seems like, watching, but I've seen probably 150 likes.
Okay. Well, okay. Bill Lanham can't get in. Al Coon can't get in there and do 50 of the likes, okay? It can't be just one. But I really, and I'm good for it because I've done it before. I'm good for it. But okay, so let's talk about one thing too before we're at the 8:00 hour. There's one thing I did want to talk about is softball's coming up, fellas. This weekend is going to be a scrimmage, an inter-team scrimmage. It's free to go to. I'm going to take my daughter. I'm going to go watch this Saturday, I think at noon time frame. The doors open at 11:15 a.m. I'm going to be there. You can get a poster for the softball team. My daughter, I signed her up for 8 and under softball just 2 days ago. I got purple bat, purple helmet, purple gloves, and I'm going to get purple wristbands. We're going to be all decked out for her first game because she loves purple, and she's really good at softball, man. She can really hit that ball. She got some hand-eye coordination. Her mother played tennis, so it's not from me. It's not from me.
She gets the equipment from you, like the arm sleeves and all that kind of stuff. I mean, so she's going to be decked out like you.
What I'm saying is, if you can't play good, look good, right? And you know that, all right? So I was always decked out with the latest and greatest in church basketball and in soccer at high school and college. She's going to be decked out with the latest and greatest. Now, I will say this. It was a little emotional for me because, Al, we grew up in Westside High School, baby. We growed up over there. I didn't get brand new helmet. I didn't get brand new bat. I didn't get brand new glove. I mean, it was rough going when we were kids.
Oh, yeah.
And so it was kind of emotional for me because I just feel so blessed and thankful to be able to do that, and also thankful that Amazon is around and I can get it for super cheap from somewhere. But, and also you can get any kind of variety of stuff out there. So I'm really enjoying being that softball dad. But again, the softball team, if you want to go ahead and see them now, they're going to play an inter-team game this weekend. They're gonna have introductions. They're gonna have players talking to the fans. They're gonna have a poster there for you to get, and you should go this weekend because they got like 11 game. They got 11 game road series after that. So the first part of the season, you're not gonna see them. So you really don't get to see them until like later on in March. So go check them out this weekend. I'll be there. And again, we've got basketball continuing. I think it's like every other day, fellas. that there's a basketball game, and then there's the makeup basketball game against Duke at home too. So I know you guys are looking excited for that as well. We appreciate everybody getting in over on Facebook or YouTube again, and don't forget to subscribe as well. We do videos. I do highlight videos throughout the week. And also follow us over on Twitter at The Morgan T Show and at Radio Guy Houston. Now, here's another trick for you. It looks like we're not going to get to our 60 likes, unfortunately. I'm going to refresh the screen just to see. Looks like we're not going to get to our 60 likes. We're at 25 right now. But the first 2 people to go follow Houston and also send him a direct message on Twitter saying how much they love the Tigers and love the show will get a gift card from me. We'll get one of our gift cards. We have one of our gift cards left over from this past season. We have 2 actually left over. I need to use them up because I want to treat you to some free food. So we have 2 gift cards that I'd like to give away. If you go over to Houston, if you follow him, that's the key because he needs some more followers over there. Go over there, follow Houston at Radio Guy Houston on Twitter, and then direct message him and say, I love the Tigers. The first 2 people to do that, and only the first 2, and Houston will vouch for you. And he'll let me know, and I'll try to get you one of our gift cards out in the mail. So go do that over on Twitter. Houston, keep me honest this week. So when you get those, hopefully, and we really appreciate it. All right, guys, you got anything else before do we forget anything that you really wanted to talk about? Anybody in the chat, did we forget anything that you really want to talk about?
I think we pretty much covered all the bases tonight.
Well, again, we're winding down. We really appreciate it, and everybody getting in. I know I got a lot of people over on YouTube saying, you guys got to hit the like button, man. Well, it doesn't look like we're going to get to 60, so I'm sorry about that. But again, this is, if you're new to the show, we do this show every single week. We typically sometimes get to do it on the radio as well, 105.5 The Roar. So go tune us in there after the Walt Deptula show on Thursday. But on behalf of myself, Big Al, and Mr. Houston Burnett, we'll see you, Tiger fans, at the top of the hill.